Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Before we go any further, just want to get the audience, thank you all for your shout outs to Sanja. She appreciates it. We appreciate it. But if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, on our website, you can't do this, but whatever platform you're on, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues, as we prepare to bring in this very special guest. We've got our friend from Freisenbruch, Karl Smith. We're going to be talking about life insurance and investments. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Oops, my apologies. I did that one purposely. That's Bermudian. Karl, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm doing well on April Fools.
I promise you, I'm got my jokes out of the way. I have my jokes out of the way. I do. Thanks for coming back, man. Look, I tell people when they come back a second time, I'm like, okay, we did something right the first time. So we appreciate you coming back and joining us.
Thank you for having me on. As I said, Daily Hour is doing some great work in the community and talking some really important stuff. And sharing views, which is always believed is very, very important from the aspect of a community. Is always to hear what people are thinking and what you're feeling,
Indeed. Well, you know what? Before we jump into today's conversation, I have to ask you, because it is International Fun at Work Day. And from talking to you last time, and even your engagement on LinkedIn, you seem to love what you do. Before we get into the meat of the conversation, what do you love so much about what you do for work?
For me, it's helping people. One of the things that's missing from society is financial education. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of people that know the simple things that can help them get where they want to be. So for me, it's about being able to sit down, have a conversation with someone and helping guide them to where they want to be. Everyone's goals and what they want to do is always different. So it's very important to understand that individual and give them the correct direction from my expertise as a certified financial planner.
Indeed, and thank you for that. And before we get into the meat, I also have to say it's another birthday. We're celebrating 45 years of Freisenbruch this year, which again, that deserves an air horn right there. Let me get the air horn. 45 years in business, having started in 1980, Michael Freisenbruch. It's a fantastic story. And folks, if you haven't read it or checked it out, the Royal Gazette had a story recently, but congratulations to Mr. Freisenbruch and everyone who's been a part of the growth of the company. But today I want to like kind of address this is a term I've seen probably over the last 10 years more than anything: generational wealth, right? It seems, I don't know if it's almost like kale became this trend, right? Like everyone's eating kale, right? The term generational wealth seems trendy, but how do you build generational wealth from your expertise?
One of the things I'll say to you that what a lot of people miss is the simple things, simple ways to bring of building generational wealth. So when you even look at Mr. Freisenbruch's story, he started the business with a $12 loan from the bank. And one of the things about building wealth is it's always best to use someone else's money. Is one of the things to say. The rich usually, or rich individuals, always use other people's money to build their wealth. It's one thing that we miss and don't understand in regards to how do you get there? Do you have a plan? There's savings, there's starting a business, there's insurance, there's investing. These are all ways to build generational wealth. What you do find is that a lot of people want to do it, but don't have a plan around it. And that's where financial planning helps, and how I'm able to help individuals get to their dreams and their goals in regards to what they need to do. And that's very important. If you don't have a plan, you don't usually have a way of getting where you want to be and how you do it.
So and let's delve deep. An audience, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to send any questions or comments through and I'll get through as many as possible. So what does financial planning look like? Because you've got people that say, oh, well, I put aside $200 a month and just leave it in a savings account, right? And we know savings accounts do not provide the interest they once did. So what would be the first thing someone needs to know about financial planning versus just putting aside money every month?
Yeah, so as a financial planner, I'm looking at all aspects of financial planning, which covers financial management, risk management, wealth management planning, which includes retirement planning, investment planning, tax planning, and estate planning.
Mhm.
That all forms of financial planning in regards to what you're doing, how you do it, and different ways of achieving it. So that's the 5 aspects of financial planning and what is covered. So, putting $200 in the account, yes, that's great. Is it working for you? Is the investment correct? Is it covering all your risks at $200? Are you thinking about generational wealth? So depending on what is important to you is how you use it accordingly to achieve what you want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. And audience, again, if it's speaking a different language to you, we'll get layman in a second, right? So someone who, you just named the 5, right? The 5 building blocks: financial management, risk management,
Yeah.
wealth management planning,
Yeah.
tax planning,
Tax
and what was
planning,
the final one? Estate planning.
Estate planning, which is the part of generational wealth.
Okay.
How do you keep it? How do you control it? Where do you put it?
Mhm.
Different ways of doing it. There's so many ways of completing or making generational wealth
Mhm.
in your plan. It's pretty simple. Like, for example, kids policies, a policy on a kid.
Mhm.
People say, that doesn't make any sense. But when you think about it, if you buy a policy on your kid, who's it really going to?
Mm.
It's not really going to the kid, it's going to the next generation.
Mm.
That's a piece of generational wealth that you can do simply that people don't think about.
Mhm. Mm. Mm. I want to ask the audience real quick, the audience who's tuned in. And again, if you feel like it's too personal, feel free not to respond. But I want to just know, does anyone in the audience have a financial planner? Just a yes or no. Do you have a financial planner? Yes or no? Because I don't think that it's something that, most normal, and I don't mean to turn it normal, but the average person may not have it. But what's the importance? Just explain the importance of having a financial planner, someone to work with, someone like yourself.
Well, what I'll say to you, no one is expert in everything.
Mhm.
And what you're looking for is someone that has the expertise in different situations. As a financial planner, what I bring to the table, I actually had experience in all 5 of them. And I'm like the quarterback in regards to sending to other people for more specific advice in regards to certain things. Could it be to the bank for a loan, to insurance individual for insurance, to investment advisor for information, for lawyer for estate planning. So I'm like the quarterback in the middle who has to know a lot about all of them in order to give the person the right information from each aspect of what they're doing. And that's pretty much what a financial planner do. And, unfortunately, as far as I know, I think there are about 2 or 3 of us in Bermuda from that perspective that are certified as financial planners. Yes, we do have other expertise in like insurance salespeople. We have investment salespeople, and you have bankers and you have lawyers and does estate planning. I, in the middle, as a financial planner, have to know all of them and point you in the right direction for what you need to do specifically, exactly from a legal perspective, what you need to see. So financial planning comes in different ways and different wiles in regards that some people will be doing investments, some people do banking and lending, some people will do certain things. A financial planner has a fiduciary duty to do what's right for the client at all times.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I did ask just now how many people have a financial planner. Shikarina said yes. Victor Hunt says no, soon to be called though. Suzanne Ingham says no. Rondell Richardson said no. Polly Rich said no. Nicole Walker said no, but have a few things in place. Well, audience, hopefully this conversation changes it for those in the audience who have said no. Let's get into the just making sense of it in the most layman way possible. Financial management. Just explain, what exactly it is. Like it's cash flow. It's you have to have cash. Like you mentioned, Mr. Freisenbruch got a $12,000 loan, I believe, or 1,200.
Yep.
Just where does one start when it comes to making sense of financial management?
Well, it's one of the hardest things that people deal with. It's called budgeting. How do you stick to it? How do you do it? Does it make sense? No one ever gets it perfect. Some people may, most people don't. but it's about having some kind of idea of where your money goes to start. So for most customers let's sit down with, the first thing I ask them to do is a budget.
Mhm.
Because what it does is it gives you the ability to sit back and say, oh my gosh, where's my money going?
Mhm.
You think you know where your money goes, but a lot of on occasions you don't realize you spend say $5 here, $10 here, $15 here, $20,000 there, and it adds up.
Mhm.
And one of the things I always say from budgeting and a financial plan in budgeting is, do you pay yourself first?
Mm.
Most people do not think about paying themselves first. They don't treat themselves as a bill, and that becomes quite important in achieving all of those goals.
Mm.
So when you talk about financial management, is how do you manage your money?
Mhm.
Two, how do you use it to assist you in getting that bank loan and going to the bank and being confident in what you ask for, and using that to assist you in regards to what you're doing and whatever financial plans you have.
Mm.
I would say to individuals, people are always, well, the bank doesn't lend me any money because of this and because of that. And I quite make it very simple with two things. So, for example, you have two friends. This is one that where your credit history and how you pay bills become important.
Mhm.
You have two friends, you lend two friends each $100.
Mhm.
You have one that pays you on time, the $10 that you agree to every month at a certain date.
Mhm.
You have one that pays you, oh, sorry, I missed the payment this month, I'll pay you in 2 months or
Mhm.
pay you the following 3 months. Who are you going to lend your money to? You're always going to lend your money to the person that pays you on time every month as it goes, and that's a bank.
Mm.
Okay? Secondly, you go into more money from the bank and you have nothing in your account.
Mm.
What does that say to the banker? That's like if you have a friend that comes to you and say, hey, I want to borrow some money from you, but you know that friend never has any money.
Mhm.
You know that person's about going to pay you back. So
Mhm.
it's putting steps in place to achieve what you want to get what you want. So for example, you're going to the bank, you want to borrow a loan, your loan is $10,000. If you were able to save, say, $2,500 in your account, you say to the bank, you know what? Here's my emergency fund or my savings account, $2,500. Would you be able or willing to lend me $10,000 from there?
Mhm.
Chances are, once you have that there and the bank put a hold on it, it helps you. And that's again is using other people's money to get riches by just showing them what they want to see. So it's understanding those things and using those abilities to create what you want and understanding how you get there.
Mhm.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I did. What stands out to me, other people's money, folks. I'm joking, but no, I think you broke it down perfectly. Go into risk management though. Can you
Yep.
explain um how risk management differs? What people need to know about that?
So risk management covers a couple of things, and it's quite interesting. A lot of people don't have life insurance.
Mhm.
So when you think about risk management, is to cover risk. So the risk of dying over the period of time if something happens to you. It's health insurance to cover your health if something if you're sick. It's home insurance, for example, to cover for your home. You have a business. Do you have insurance on your business? Direct insurance to your business. That could be insurance for example, everyone is being hacked nowadays. Do you
Mm.
have insurance for being hacked for your business? These are all different risks that you have personally and business-wise that people do not think about, and that's risk management. So for me, as an individual financial planner, when I talk to client about risk management, I'm trying to understand who they are and
Mm.
what types of risks they have in their life, and how do we protect them in these situations.
All righty. Audience, again, if you have any questions or comments for Karl, please send them through. And another one you touched on was wealth management. Can you go a
Yep.
bit deeper in terms of that?
So wealth management comes in and talks about retirement planning and investment planning.
Mhm.
And what that becomes is how are you using your money? You made one comment earlier about, oh, when you have your money in your bank account, you're not making enough. That is so true. Is your money working efficiently for you?
Mhm.
What risk can you take as a person in regards to your investments? And one thing about investing is that I always say to my clients, you must be able to sleep at night. So, I'm sure you have a friend that said, "Oh, I invested in, say, Apple, and it was $300. You can't afford $300. Is Apple the right thing for you? Can you be comfortable if Apple doesn't do what it needs to do.
Mm,
So it's understanding what type of investor you are, what you're comfortable with, and always remember, what is right for one person is not right for you. Okay?
mm,
And then it's also about, from a financial planning perspective, investment perspective, is making sure you're earning the right amount of investments based on the risk that you're willing to take and
mm,
understanding it. You know, a lot of people think, oh, well, I have to get 20%, 15%. Um, I always say that those amounts are usually fun money. That's where you're taking a lot of risk. But
mm,
you must always have your serious money, which is your retirement plan,
mm,
long-term planning, where you're putting in and looking at investing long-term. And usually at that point, you're looking for 6 to 7% growth. If you
mm,
get a 5 to 7% growth in those areas, you're doing pretty well. But a
mm,
lot of people don't think that because they're thinking about, oh, I need to get 10% growth, 50% growth in order to be rich. No, you don't. It's
mm.
about being consistent over a long period of time or being consistent over a short period of time in regards to what you're putting in, utilizing dollar cost averaging to put yourself in a better situation.
Instant gratification is not the place for this kind of stuff, basically. And you also mentioned tax and estate planning. Now, this is a big one because it's something people really, really don't think about until they get in that space where it's like, wow, I wish I would have known.
Yes, yes. And, you know, and that's where planning and talking to someone who has experience in be it insurance, be it estate planning becomes important. I would say to you, from that perspective, it's about how do you plan for those risks and estate transfers and how you do it, the ways you do it, how do you protect your family, how do you protect, you know, I've had situations with couples, married couples and problems and stuff like that. And in some situations, people want to protect from the other spouse and the person they don't like. You've seen so many situations. So when you're making a plan, it's about knowing what you're trying to accomplish in in generational wealth. And why I'm stopping a little bit there is because everyone's idea is different in
Mm,
regards to what they do. So how do you plan? Insurance is a good way of creating generational wealth, but people don't understand how to use it. You know, they'll say it's too expensive, it's this and it's that. But there are different ways to set up your policies in order to give you the ability to make plans and choices long term.
mm,
You know, I hear a lot of people talking about insurance during the point where, oh, I just need it for 10, 15 years, or you need it for 20 years, you need it for this amount. I always recommend to my clients is when you get insurance, especially life insurance, and you look at term, you're looking for as long as possible for as cheap as possible
mm,
to give you the most amount. So how do you use a term policy to create generational wealth? There's ways to do that, but a lot of people don't think about that from a short mining perspective
mm,
because most people are always thinking about the now.
mm,
And I'm not going to be able to, how can I say, use that term insurance. It's just me giving away money.
mm,
Well, no, it's not you giving away money. When you think about it, we have a car,
mm,
and everyone has car insurance because it's mandatory. But what happens to a car on a regular basis? It depreciates.
mhm,
And I always say to the clients, you know, a lot of people do not realize what their biggest asset is. They usually say it's their house.
mm,
I'll leave that comment for different places. I always like to share it different places. If people have heard me or talked to me, they've heard me use this a lot because I find that most individuals are very, very underinsured from a risk perspective, from a
mm,
generational wealth perspective, in a lot of ways that they don't think about. And insurance could be usually the cheapest way
mhm.
of covering that risk and creating that generational wealth.
Mm, interesting. Um, well, before you head out, we've got a big event tomorrow, and I think audience, you might want to know about this: the advisory series, paving the way for a smooth retirement. Just last week, I think it was last week, I must have asked on this show, how many people are really prepared for retirement? If your job was to give you early retirement today, are you good to go? What I've learned is a lot of people just, and despite Bermuda having, probably one of the best programs for many employers offer great pension plans. Still, there are a lot of people who just work and be under retirement age because they need to support themselves. But tell us about this series. What for those who, how they can attend, where it's going to be taking place, and what people can learn at this series.
Well, one of the things that was important when I was brought on by Mr. Freisenbruch was the focus on educating Bermudians, and that's what we're setting out to do and what we're trying to do on a more regular basis. So the advisor series is about just enlightening people about retirement and giving them some easy steps in regards to what they should be thinking about to get to their dreams, because everyone's retirement dream is different and everyone has a different plan. So the advisor series is giving you just simple, quick steps to get there. We're having I always have a problem saying this, BIU, Bermudian way. How did I say it?
Buey?
Yes.
Buey.
Yes. So I struggle with that because I find in Bermuda they use so many acronyms. I'm from Canada, so I'm trying to get used to all the acronyms in regards to it. But it's there tomorrow. We're getting pretty close to being full. So please, if you're interested, please reach out to us at at Freisenbruch, I think it is.
Yeah. It's events at fmgroup.bm. Sorry, folks.
Yes. So please send it in, and we'll let you know if you're able to come. We have, I think we have a group of about 100 people already. I think we have room for another 40. So if you're interested, please let us know. Please RSVP today, so we can get you out and have a little conversation with me. You're able to ask the questions personally from a perspective of, how can I help Bermudians in regards to thinking about retirement easier, simpler. As I said, it's a long-term plan, but if you're not doing the correct things, you struggle when you get there. And that's one of the things that I've seen here in Bermuda from individuals I talk to. One of the big concerns individuals are house rich and cash poor. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, I think it's important to educate Bermudians on different ways to do things in order to not create these situations for themselves long term.
Mm. This is going to be exciting. And audience, if you're available, go send an email. It's events. I was just trying to bring it up on screen. My apologies. It's going to be events at fmgroup.bm. Takes place tomorrow, April 2nd, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute. You want to check that out. Karl, just remind people how they can get in touch with you to learn more about financial planning, maybe get their first life insurance plan or expand what they already have.
Yeah, we're here at 75 Front Street. You can reach out to us by email, on phone, check out our website. Our numbers are there directly. What we practice at Freisenbruch is customer service, and we always ask on our phones. So reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you. Our team is always willing and love helping individuals, and I'm here to help as much as I can. So always reach out, please.
All right, Karl, thanks so much. Another amazing conversation. I'm sure people found it helpful. Victor, Karl's waiting on your call. You can reach 1-297-8693. Karl, thank you. And we'll be in touch very soon. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, Karl Smith, Freisenbruch, that's getting short. Folks, make sure you get out there to that event. We'll probably share it tomorrow as well. Just having a bit of trouble bringing it up on the computer, but it's paving the way for a smooth retirement advisory series by Freisenbruch. The presenter will be Karl Smith. So April 2nd is tomorrow, Wednesday, April 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30 at the BUEI or Buey or Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute. So go check it out. We're going to take our final break. And we'll be back in about 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere.